Would you feel comfortable being asked what's in between your legs? When they don't know that I'm trans, 9 times out of 10, they always find me attractive. This man that was quite senior in this club talked to every guy I had talked to and being like, by the way, she's trans.
That's horrific.
That's awful. Boycott them now. Hey guys, welcome back to Tip 4. I'm Billy.
And I'm Lauren, and this is a podcast where we talk all things that normally stay in the group chat.
And today we're joined by a very special guest. Please give it up for Seana, everyone.
Woo! Thank you so much for coming on the pod, Seana.
Thank you for having me.
No, we're really excited. Would you mind just explaining a bit about who you are and what you do to our audience?
So my name is Seana Momsen and I am a South Asian trans woman here in the UK. I dabble here and there in the sex work industry, and I'm just trying to elevate consciousness and make life just a little bit better for folks that have a similar story to mine.
Now, there isn't actually much kind of like representation for Bengali trans women. Do you feel like there's a pressure on yourself to kind of represent and kind of keep pushing that support?
I don't think I view it as like pressure that there's like this like thing that I visualize or feel. I just feel that it's kind of sad, like that there isn't that much representation, but it's not necessarily because of the pressure. It's more so to do with the fact that there is virtually nothing, and I'm finding that although it's a nice moment potentially in history, I'm the first that's doing X, Y, and Z. I haven't really like fact checked this, but when I got to do my Bollywood movie back in 2022, I played a trans character. It wasn't very, very like openly trans, but it was like scripted as a trans character. And I think I might be the first ever Bengali trans girl playing a trans character in a Bollywood movie.
Wow.
Come on.
So, snaps for that.
Come on.
That's incredible.
So it's just like, I don't know, like it's cool that I might be the first, potentially, possibly, but it's like, why hasn't it happened already?
100%.
Right, yeah. Well, that's incredible, and that shares a little bit about your kind of journey to get to this point. When did you kind of realise and kind of, I don't want to say grow into, but like explore your identity as being a trans woman?
I always knew like things were like different. When you're quite young, you don't really know like the actual words. You just know, especially from like a cultural background with religious beliefs, you just know that it's wrong. You know those thoughts are wrong, those thought processes. Being anything other than what's deemed as normal is wrong. So I just knew to resist and to conceal from a very, very young age. But I didn't know what trans was. All I knew in the basic way was that there are straight people and then there are gay people. But your gender identity, that was like really, really foreign to me up until later on in life.
Right.
How was like your relationship with your family as you was exploring this? How was that?
Mine's quite an atypical relationship because I did a lot of things very, very my own way, and I come from like a really broken family in the sense that I didn't really have like parental figures. I was more so with my nan and my uncle because my mom had left the nest at like 12 when I was 12, and my dad was absent because of circumstances, but I just didn't really have like a active relationship with my family members because they didn't really understand me. So having a conversation about the LGBTQ plus IA, that was never like an option. And within my culture, from my experience and from my lived experiences, you don't really talk about that stuff. You just carry on and like prod along and hope for the best. But it's not an easy process, but it could have been worse. And that's how I look at it.
Yeah. So in Bangladesh, the laws and rules around the LGBT community are different to here. Is that right?
I think just that region as a whole, I think there are quite oppressive rules. I know that there are still practices potentially in Bangladesh or just the wider region where not only just anti-LGBTQIA, but folks are still married off at like 12 years old.
Right.
So there's really, really dark and deep and horrendous stuff happening. So I'm very mindful that it's not just what I'm going through, but a lot of bad practices that are still happening.
Yeah. What empowered you to speak out and be so vocal about it?
The way I view it and the way I've had my trajectory so far, I don't see it as like I'm doing it for a specific reason, in the sense of like, oh, I'm going to do my community proud. That's just hand in hand with what I'm passionate about.
Yeah.
I'm passionate about making people feel safe and feel at home within themselves, and just giving that confidence that I so sought out from a very, very early age. Regardless of whatever people think about you, if they have something negative to say about your gender, race, sexuality, skin color, whatever, then that's all to do with them, and they shouldn't feel comfortable having anything negative to say about that. And I knew that from a very, very early age, when I experimented with my physical appearance and was exploring internally sexuality and gender identity, once I could form those sentences.
Oh, I love that. What would you say are like the top questions you're tired and sick of hearing from people? Change it up a little bit.
Because I started doing more like TikTok lives, TikTok's really a free-for-all platform. And I understand that it's coming from, most of the time, a place of like curiosity. But when people like keep asking, like, are you wearing a wig? What surgeries have you had? This, that, and the other. I'm an open book. I don't shy away from talking about anything and everything, but it's just the assumption that's already made that I must have done this, or I must be wearing a wig, or I'm doing this, that, and the other. Whereas if you're just asking from a place where it's like, have you done anything, or like this, that, and the other, there's already that stigma or label attached. Not to say that getting surgery or like doing stuff to alter your appearance in any way, shape, or form is bad, but I just don't like the assumption that I've done that, because that's not my story to tell.
Right.
Or their business.
Well,
It's invasive. Like,
it is invasive. It's the thing is, because people say that and rebuttal it by saying you're putting yourself out there. I understand that, and I am putting myself out there, and I'm happy to answer questions. It's not what you say, it's how you say it. So I always try to like say, would you feel comfortable being asked what's in between your legs, or like stuff like that? It's just about the simple fact of how you're saying these questions. And folks respond by saying, oh, I never saw it that way. So I like having like some sort of educational, like instant reaction.
Nice.
I like that. I can kind of like agree like so much with that, because even just like as a gay man, the first question that you normally get is like, are you top or a bottom? It's like, why are you so interested in like my sexual deviances? Or like,
you wouldn't ask a straight person that.
You don't. And it's just,
well, let alone a stranger.
Well,
that's the thing.
Yeah.
And it is like, it's always strangers that are asking it.
It's because they have a screen to hide behind. They would never dream of saying, well, some people might, but they would never dream to say in person, in real life.
Yeah.
I get it in person. Like if like the smoking area and I meet someone like a night out, and like it normally comes across in like, they are meaning it in a nice way, and they're just trying. Yeah, and like, but it's just when it becomes like regularly a thing. Like in the smoking area, you meet like a girl, and you're just like chatting, geeking, and she's like, "I've got to ask, are you top or bottom?" I'm like, "Okay, that was 3 minutes into meeting you. Like, come on." Not that I really mind answering, but you just when you notice it constantly, it does feel like, okay, there is more to being gay than just like your preference.
Yeah, that's interesting. When it comes to dating, do you feel you have to navigate these kind of conversations there too?
When I decide to like disclose it to whoever's worthy, that's the trans thing, by the way. I have to give her like a whole life spiel. Like it's so monotonous, like training, rinse and repeat, Groundhog Day, and it's so like invasive of like my life. Like, why do I have to like say so much like sensitive like information about myself to a person potentially I would never see ever again? And they could be hiding, concealing, because a lot of people see it as like I'm committing a crime, I'm doing bad things by like choosing not to say. but it's not a bad thing. Trans isn't a bad thing.
No.
And in my rule book, information isn't freely given, it's earned with anything in life. So yeah, like I just don't see it as fair. And I understand some people bring in the question of preference, but if we break it down, why is your preference not a trans person? Like, is it because you don't like trans people? There's like, if a lot of people's preference and saying that and like, oh, I just don't find them attractive, when they don't know that I'm trans, 9 times out of 10 they always find me attractive. So it's just, as soon as that comes out, they're like, no, I don't, blah blah blah.
Yeah, that's interesting. I feel like, again, there is that discourse online of like people that have no, like it's none of their business, being like, oh, what's big issue if they say it on the first or the third date, trans people, like bringing that awareness. But really it's like we're making a bigger deal out of it than intended.
Needs to be.
Yeah, it's draining.
I can nowhere near relate to the level that you have to go through, but like it's almost like when you have to come out constantly come out, like in new places of work or like meeting people the first time. I feel like I'm quite just an open book anyway, but it does become like exhausting, doesn't it?
It is. And it's like the angle that I have, it's a double-edged sword of like, I wouldn't even call it passing privilege. People just think I was born a woman, which is like great for me. But it's the sense of like, because I get that attached to me, even way before I ever identified as a girl, I just looked girl. So because that's attached and folks can't fathom, especially men that are into me, can't fathom the fact that I was born a boy, it's just that mental barrier that I have to like break down and go through. So it's a very, very unique position that not the even average trans person goes through, because there's just even more weird layers attached to it, and it's a lot.
Yeah.
Do you have like any previous experiences that you'd be comfortable to share with us, that maybe some that have gone well or some that maybe haven't gone so well?
I am quite a serial dater, I'm not gonna lie. So most of the times, like all my dates go well. It's just a case of like the fact that they can't commit to the fact that what their friends might think or their family might think, or that I'm chronically online.
Right.
So there's not only just like explaining it to their circle, but people can look me up and I'm unapologetically me. So there's even that attached. And then if they really do their research, the sex work stuff.
Right.
So there's a lot of things that they're like, I have to commit to all that. No, I can't. Not to say that that's not possible, but there's a lot that goes on when it's concerning if it's going to happen with me, with that person. But that's it going well. The bad, the negative, I've just had cases where I just get so like, because the thing is, I don't think the average trans person constantly thinks, I'm trans, I have to tell. I just live my life. So I forget.
Yeah.
And I'm just like, teehee, and in the club, do my thing. I've had it in instances where people out me. One, that's illegal, so you shouldn't do that. And these are people where they've either seen me online or even like bar managers, where like they're senior managers. Like there's a particular club in Birmingham where this man that was quite senior in this club, he would follow me around and talk to every guy I had talked to and being like, by the way, she's trans. That's so unsafe.
Awful.
It's so unsafe. Because they're like thinking of like protecting the brotherhood. And when I approached him, he just laughed and walked off. And I had emailed that club and I got no response. That happens, and it's a safety concern. But I but I view it as, because I'm quite a niche person and a niche case when it comes to like me being within the community. Not to say that all men practice this, but I think I have an aura about me of like, don't fuck with me, and and the other aura of like pretty privilege, which can help as well. And on top of that, most men have been taught from like day dot, again, not all of them practice this, but not to lay a hand on a woman. So because a lot of men see me and can't deny my womanhood, they're vicious with their words. They have never been aggressive with like fighting and stuff like that, but words hurt just as much. But I think that there's a lot when it comes to like just the psyche of breaking down what's quote unquote normal for your average heterosexual cis man, which unfortunately is my type.
Right. I was gonna ask that. How did you explore like what you're into, what your sexuality was? Did you know initially?
I just knew that I was straight as fuck from like day one. I was like, I saw men and I was like, they're fit, yeah.
Valid.
That's literally all I thought. Yeah. I think of myself as like platinum star straight. I don't lust after women. I just like men.
Oh my gosh. Yeah. I'm a platinum gay.
Oh my god.
Yeah, Kiki.
Who's your biggest celebrity crush?
Oh my gosh. Is it bad that I just thought of like male porn stars? He's not my biggest celebrity crush, but he always just comes to mind when somebody asks me this question. I do like him, but he's not my biggest. But this guy called Bradley Solu, and he was the guy in West Coast and Blue Jeans by Lana.
Right.
That guy, the tatted guy.
Right.
Yeah.
Gosh.
I love a niche.
Yeah.
Reference like that. Very me.
Yeah, mine's pretty basic. Jonathan Bailey.
Obviously, waiting.
Anyone that's on the kind of like the front covers of the magazines.
Yeah.
First there.
Easy.
And like, you've also like, I've seen online you talk about like your chosen family. How important has that been in part of like, you know, your journey and like you being safe with your identity?
I think a lot of queer folks don't really have that support network at home. Some do, and I'm really, really happy to see that. But a lot find their tribe, their chosen family in walks of life, which I have done many a times. And I think it's a testament to one's character that you are able to find your people because you are choosing to love someone as opposed to being born into it, which is still beautiful, but it's debatable whether which is stronger, but I don't like to see it that way. Yeah, I think it's really, really important because you need like-minded folks around you, and that's how you learn and grow as people. Even though I have things that I've done differently or lived a different life to the average person, I can still learn a lot of things from the average person because everybody thinks and operates differently.
To people listening that might be perhaps like younger and maybe kind of like really associating themselves with your story, but don't have their chosen family, what advice would you have for like them to go and find them? How do you find a chosen family?
So when I started off having nothing, and that was like, I think from like 8, 9, 10, I escaped online and I just started gaming and doing all of that, which was my version of like, okay, nobody can judge me for me. I'm playing like some virtual thing and people accept me. I have a friend to this day that I kept in touch with since I was like 12, and I visited her in Amsterdam last year. So stuff like that happens. And she knew me from back in the day just online. So I would say try and find your community. If it is a privilege to be able to use computers and stuff like that. So I'm not saying that, oh, that's easily accessible, but try to find things that make you happy. Reading a book, writing, creating art, just keeping your brain active and stimulated in a healthy manner so you don't fall inwards and have dark thoughts that folks do at whatever point in their life, but not all consuming, basically.
I know you mentioned the gaming, and we see the shit that women get online on these streamers and on Twitch and stuff. What was your experience like with that? Did you have a negative?
I'm not that old, but I was before Twitch. Like I didn't have, when I was like 12, it was like more of like the Habit Hotels.
Oh yeah.
And like it wasn't what it is today with regards to like the connection, although it is really, really bad with like the dark side of the internet. So that was always there, but I used it, I think because I'm such a resilient person, even when I was quite young, I knew what I wanted out of it, and I knew that because in a sense I was lying about my identity, I knew other people would do that. I knew that, so I was like, yeah, I know how to like stay safe.
Yeah, how do you have so much wisdom? I also don't say that in like a I don't get it way, because I also come from a family where maybe I didn't feel that understood. So then you do a lot of inner work to try and understand that within yourself and explore that. But like, you're so wise.
I mean, I've always been told when I was like younger that I was an old soul, but now the years are catching up with me.
Right.
But I think when you literally have nothing, but whether that's like money, friends, family, you really do a lot of soul searching and you love yourself wholeheartedly.
Yeah.
So that means you can take a lot. And I always throw this analogy in the sense of like, this is very, very like dramatic, but I don't want this to happen. Like if the whole world ended and you somehow survived, I think a lot of people would be very, very like sad about it. Whereas I would be sad, yes, but I would make myself laugh, and I would, if I could die of natural means, I would be fine.
Come on.
Yeah.
I mean, people make themselves laugh.
Yeah.
Like if you could eat and like sustain yourself.
Yeah. I love that.
Yeah, I love that. Now you're a very like, as you say, like outspoken, confident woman, and you speak online quite a lot about like sexual
Being sex positive?
sex positive,
Yeah.
that's the right phrase. I was saying something
You kept on
else.
saying sexually positive.
Sexually positive, which is a completely different thing. But you're very open about it, and you do OnlyFans as well, is that right?
It's passive income, but it's still there.
Still there.
Yeah,
Okay.
yeah.
What's like the audience like that for you online?
Is this just regarding sex work or?
Like, yeah, what kind of like audience do you kind of like see mainly?
It's an amalgamation of folks, because I dabble in so many things that like a lot of people respond to me because I do the self-help content. I do the talking about my like upbringing, which can inspire folks. I have a lot of parents coming to me saying like, oh my gosh, thank you for your advice and stuff like that, of like how to support their kids, or kids coming to me and asking me how they should come out or how they should just be confident, etc. So there's that aspect of it. And then there's the aspect of like, when I started my social media, it was the typical of like beauty pictures and all of that. And then it like evolved into like more like risque pictures, and then the self-help started coming out. So I just have like a lot of different people where it's like old men DMing me and all of that. And then when like I started doing OnlyFans, it was just like even more. So I just have an array of audience. And I have, of course, because I am trans, I have a lot of people that don't like me. So there's that.
How do you protect your peace with those, you know, the kind of like people who shouldn't be commenting on videos, but like they do, the hate messages?
Well, I've been very accustomed to hate all my life. So I've hardened myself to that. And I knew from a very, very early age, as I touched upon earlier, that somebody's like negative, unwarranted like opinion of me doesn't matter, especially a stranger's. So I don't really care if it's a stranger.
Love that.
I guess the traditions of your culture, I'm not saying the word reject, because it's not to say that they're rejecting you, but like, how do you feel now trying to still incorporate that side of you? It's like a part of you, it's in your heart, whilst being a trans woman.
I think with culture and religion, or culture versus religion, you would hope to like take things and make your own. I find a lot of people that follow Christianity or like Buddhism and stuff like that, they don't follow everything to a T. Some folks do, but they don't follow everything to a T. So you just adopt what works for you, and maybe call it Seanaism. I don't know, rebrand. But like, yeah, I adopt things from Buddhist philosophy and like other things like Hinduism, because there are beautiful things that I can see like, oh, that's good. Let me just like practice that, being mindful, this, that, and the other, and gratitude and stuff like that. So just adopt things and make it work for you, because everybody's views and story and life journey is different.
Definitely.
Love that.
Yeah. So you spoke about dating. Have you been in relationships?
Yeah, I've been fortunate enough to have like quite meaningful relationships, and this was like pre me identifying as a girl and after me identifying as a girl. So nice relationships.
Healthy. Were there any kind of boundaries that you felt like you had to set, or kind of any experiences that would make you learn from that to take onto your next relationship?
I think because 9 times out of 10 I'm going to be somebody's first that's like me. We're both learning. Well, you learn each other just in general, but then you're both learning this new normal of like, yes, woman, but different kind of woman, and not being accustomed to like, let's say, this body part of a woman. So there's like that, and then what I choose to do with my life, so that other thing. So it's always going to be for me more of a learning curve of establishing what's okay and what's not okay with any partner, because most people haven't experienced this.
Yeah. I was just going to ask as well, obviously this year has been quite big with the Supreme Court ruling. Have you found your experience as a trans person has changed since all that came about?
So I think my biggest like sorrow with all of that is for my people in my life, or for people that I don't even know of, experiencing hurtful things out and about. Because if you look at someone, people just run with their judgments, and that's, everyone judges, but it's what you choose to do with it. So say if you see someone that doesn't necessarily look like a man or a woman, or doesn't look like the gender that you assume that they're trying to pass as, they're going to get attacked. And then that's always been a case anyway, especially just throughout history. But when people are saying trans people in the media like are rapists or like predators, that's even adding more fuel to the fire that was already there.
Yeah. Where is the fucking hyper focus on straight men that are rapists? Honestly, and all of these things?
It's mental, isn't it? Because like, not to go down this road, but like, it's such a small issue that's now become a major issue, and it's like they're clearly doing it to hide all the main issues. Yeah,
they're just going down the alphabet, and then they'll just eventually reach back to like the race war, and then if not that, something else, just to like hide away from the actual issue.
The past year, have you like felt a change in terms of like general people, like people who wouldn't normally say something, but have maybe like started to be a little bit more aggressive and forward?
So negative,
yeah.
Nobody in my life, because I don't have people like that in my life, but the internet for sure, like whatever's trending, that's just how people like react. And people misquote me all the time, so they could misquote an already poorly written article and just run away with that, and then come at me for something that they assumed from the poor article. So it's just the internet and media just running with whatever. So once this blows over, because that's just the natural order of things for however long it lasts, it's just going to be a heated topic, and people are just going to make up stories and just fuel their delusion. But they call me delusional, so
No.
Do you feel that pressure to kind of be armed for when people do come with this kind of aggression, when these things come about?
In real life, or in
real life?
This is going to sound like so cunty of me, but like people don't know I'm trans, so they don't really like go after me like in a sense. But if it's like blatantly, like if I'm in a friendship circle group hanging out and we happen to talk about that, or my friends look queer as hell, then it might attract people to like have an issue with it, have this and that with it. So I don't really experience it like just in general, but it's through like certain scenarios. But from what I've experienced, I haven't really experienced anything different since this year. I don't know, I think people just, for me at least, and my lived experiences, the most hate that I get is like behind a screen. And if anything, they love me. They really do.
Is there anything that you think the internet could be doing to kind of protect trans folk? better?
I think allyship is like great, and I've experienced that. And like people like, it's really cute when I see like people fight other people in the comment section and being like, say that about blah blah blah, this is blah blah, and I'm like, you need to get paid for doing this. So yeah, allyship is great, and being proactive with educating yourself. Like I'm a resource, I put myself out there as an educational resource, but I don't know everything, and I can get things wrong, and I hold my hands up and say that, and I like to learn, and I'm on a forever path of growing and learning. But yeah, being proactive with fighting injustice, and yeah, just listening to understand and not listening to respond. So yeah, just being very, very mindful that there is a human being with actual feelings on the other end, and just understanding, treat others how you want to be treated. Like it just goes back to like things that we should have been taught as a child, of basic principles and morals.
Yeah.
Love that. Snaps
Gorgeous
for that.
answer, and snaps for that.
So this is the part of the podcast where we hear some dilemmas from our audience and then we give our advice.
Yes.
I'm in a new relationship with a trans woman and we've not been intimate yet. I wanted to get it right, so is there anything that I should keep in mind? She still has her genitals from birth, which isn't an issue to me at all, but how should I handle it? I want to make her feel comfortable and I'm scared of doing something wrong.
Am I being asked that?
Yeah.
Sure.
So the trans person that I'm assuming the cis het man is going with the trans woman that has the genitalia that they were assigned at birth.
So.
I would just say, it's different. Like, just openly talk about the fact that it is different and what you're okay with, what your boundaries are. And sometimes in a healthy way where it's all consensual, you might be open to exploring what you like, because speaking from experience, pretending like it's not there is not good, but then talking about it and not like making that trans person feel weird or like alienated isn't great either. So just having that fine balance of being open and honest with, if you're not into it, that's fine, but you're into that person, and exploring other ways to get it on.
Yeah, communication is always key. Just have those kind of like, I would say those those open communication channels, making sure that like you're not hiding anything or resenting anything. Like with any kind of relationship where you're kind of stepping into uncharted territory, I think it's always important just to say how you're feeling, check how they're feeling, making sure that there's no kind of cross paths. You know, or crossed wires.
There shouldn't be pressures on like both sides. Like even the trans person needs to be like vocal and open and honest. Like one person shouldn't feel all of the weight of the issue. So it should be equally discussed openly. And like the act of love when it comes to it and making love, I think all of that noise is like gone by the time you're in the heat of the moment. So it's a hard one, because if you think about it too much, you might psych yourself out. So just go with the flow.
Yeah.
Love that.
Okay, so the second one. I'm a trans woman, but I only came out this year, and my younger sister asked me to be her maid of honour last week. It meant the world to me, but she told me that she wants me to dress more modestly because some of our relatives aren't used to women like me. I love her, but I also don't want to be treated as a risk factor at her wedding. What should I do?
Why is she going to be butt naked? I don't get
I
it.
don't get it. Like, I don't know, like with that, I feel like she'd do what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And her sister, the bride, should kind of support her. And if there are people there that have issue with that, that's their issue. And like, I think is it her sister? I think her sister also has a duty of care to make sure that she's creating an environment that's safe for her.
Yeah. And like you said earlier, like being on the right side of a debate like that, like the right side is just let people be who they want to be and be comfortable, wear whatever they want to fucking wear at a wedding. Have you ever had any experiences with that where people have felt ashamed or like?
So my thoughts on the actual issue that was presented, I think it's a bit ludicrous, because is she giving that like PSA to like all the other bride tribe? And your bride tribe is supposed to feel beautiful and not upstage the bride, of course, but they're all supposed to feel like comfortable in their own skin and making sure that they feel good with the dresses assigned to them, etc. So the bride and the bridal party needs to do their due diligence to make sure everyone feels comfortable. And if this modesty thing is thrown out to her, it should be thrown out to everyone for fairness. And if it's your sister, I think you would want to prioritize her love even more, etc. So I think fairness and explaining that if this modesty thing is at play, then it's applicable to everyone, she's not just singled out, because she's only going to feel singled out even more so because of the whole trans thing. So just let's not alienate folks, let's just treat everyone equally. So that's my take on that. And what was the second part of your thing?
I said, have you ever been in a situation where someone you love or that you've been close to has felt a little bit ashamed, or like you need to conceal yourself?
Not in my life today, but like when I was young, because of my culture and religion, I was told all the time when like family would come around, and extended family, or I was visiting family, to conceal my appearance, to butch it up, and just to like dim my shine, basically, which I still rebelled against. And yeah, I always chose me because it wasn't hurting anyone else, but I was met with that abruptly and hurtfully and maliciously quite often, because people just care about what other people think, the community, what people are going to say, etc. So what if they say things?
Amen. So
Amen. Yeah. Well, I feel that's a nice empowering note to finish on. It's been so lovely to speak to you.
So lovely
to speak to you both. Thank you for having me.
Thank you for coming on.
Yeah, and thank you for being so open.
Yeah,
and
we really appreciate it.
Yeah, just your confidence is really inspiring. So thank you so much.
Thank you.
Let's give it up for Seana.
And if anyone needs to find you on social media, where can they reach you?
Seana Momsen on YouTube, Seana_Momsen on TikTok and Instagram, and fudelray.uk on the OnlyFans.
Rate that. Thank you, Seana. Woo!